I know. She's correct.
You can remember.
Yeah.
Do you mind if Nancy puts a regular chair up here that's easier?
Please, yes, yes.
And just put it at this end.
Yeah, just right here. And Ellie's, I know I stopped calling people up to the stage. Eleanor Smeal. Oh, so. When she gets here, she gets here. You know, that's how it works. It's no problem. All right. Yeah. No. Yeah, got it. Absolutely. Okay. All right, I think we are ready to start. Congresswoman Val Demings is going to be joining us a little bit later. She was not able to join us right away. Before we get started, I just want to acknowledge we have an amazing champion for women's rights. She is currently running for Congress. Pam Keith, would you please wave and be recognized? Florida now endorsed, national now endorsed candidate. We love you so much, Pam. Thank you so much for all the work you do. And here we go. So after the 2016 election, two things became very, very clear to me. First, if we want to get real work done and pass some actually feminist laws, we have to start winning some elections. And second, we really need to make sure we get more feminist women elected to office at all levels of government and community engagement. So it is my truly great pleasure to be joined on stage this afternoon by some of our greatest champions in the United States Congress. I'm also thrilled to be joined by some amazing individuals fighting to get women elected to take down the old boys club that has for so long excluded women. Present company excluded on the stage. I have just seen Senator Nelson's statistics on leadership in his office, and may I say, there's a lot of women in leadership, sir, and many people of color, and thank you so much for all you do. And at this time, I would like to welcome Bonnie Grabenhofer to the podium to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Senator Bill Nelson. Elected, okay, clap. Elected to the Senate in 2001, Senator Nelson has tirelessly advocated for women, supporting legislation to protect women's health, increase access to Medicare, fight pay discrimination, increase the federal minimum wage, and protect Social Security. Most notably, Senator Nelson demonstrated his strong commitment to women's rights when he co-sponsored the Violence Against Women Act in 2005 and the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Act in 2009. Helping him do that is a staff that is 2/3 women. Thank you so much for that. Senator Nelson's long history of public service began in 1972 when he was elected to the Florida House of Representatives. Afterwards, he served both as a United States representative and as Florida Treasurer, Insurance Commissioner, and Fire Marshal. Before his election to the Senate, Senator Nelson has spent his career advocating for equality through health care, campaign finance reform, environmental protections, disability rights, and consumer protections. We are honored to have the senator here today. Please join me in welcoming Senator Bill Nelson.
I want you to know that on the day after the inauguration, you know what I'm about to say. What a pleasure to join with so many, particularly from our state, that had come, and the pink was all there. Lois Frankel wrapped a pink scarf around my neck. I asked the audience that we were speaking to if I could be an honorary sister, to which one of the ladies in the audience called out, "Are you willing to take a pay cut?" Oh, how true. And that's what is just one indication of what joins us. I want you to know also, here in Florida, in almost every major city, the same day, the day after the inauguration, people gathered, and it was a display of intensity and determination that is absolutely essential for what we are facing today, 5 months later. One of the most significant to me was there is a very, very Republican county in North Florida. It's the furthermost barrier island north in Florida called Amelia Island, a little old southern town that is beautifully restored, named Fernandina Beach. What was significant in this very red county is that 1,000 women marched down Center Street in Fernandina Beach, Florida. So we've got to follow through. And here we are 5 months later, and you know the agenda. You know what we've been battling, and it seems that every day is a new insult, a new challenge. You just shake your head in amazement. Therefore, what is extremely important for you all, since we do have a constitutional democracy, if we don't have to fight the Russians in our elections next year, which is something that we have to worry about. But other than the Russians, what's going to reverse this kind of ill-intended, in-your-face, smack-down, rude, and vulgar, thank you, and entirely it's my attitude, it's my way or no way attitude. What's going to happen is we're going to have to beat them in the election next year. So for the energy that you are expressing, for the intensity that you are expressing, please keep it up. Thank you for standing up, and thank you for giving me the privilege of standing up and standing in the gap and fighting for all people, not just some people. Have a great, great conference. Thank you.
Co-sponsor ERA. 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 Co-sponsor ERA.
Thank you so much. Ooh, let's pull this down a little bit. Thank you so much, Senator Nelson. It is now my great pleasure and honor to present NOW's 2017 Woman of Vision Award. This award this year goes to Dr. Janet Canterbury. We do not give the Woman of Vision color. We do not give the Woman of Vision Award every year. It is an award that is reserved to someone who has been in the fight with us for years, who has taken the long view of achieving real equality for women across many communities, across all different types of communities. Janet Canterbury has been a leader in NOW for so many years, and I frankly was quite surprised to learn when I started looking at, well, we have these awards and who would be some candidates for the awards. I was actually surprised to learn that Dr. Canterbury had never received an award from us. Dr. Canterbury doesn't do this work for the recognition. She does this work for the results. She wants to get it done. Janet Canterbury was twice elected president of Dade County NOW and Florida State NOW. She has served 2 terms on NOW's national board. At the time we had regions, she was the Southeast Regional Director. Currently, Dr. Canterbury co-chairs with Patricia Ireland, Ellie Smeal, and Ambassador Kara Mosley-Braun the advisory committee to the National NOW Board. And may I say that without the wisdom and advice of each of these advisors, we really would not have come to where we are today as an organization. And Janet Canterbury's advice had been absolutely critical for that. Dr. Canterbury also serves as an advisor to the NOW Political Action Committee. She is amazing with numbers, not surprising that she is an epidemiologist. She's a scientist who works with spreadsheets. I went to law school so I wouldn't have to do numbers. But she is really amazing at doing political campaigns. She has been an extraordinary advisor to the PAC. Janet retired in 2013 after a distinguished career as professor of medicine and dean at the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine. And in her post in the administration at Miami Medical School, Dr. Canterbury was a committed advocate for women and people of color, and for more than 30 years, students and faculty would line up outside her office to seek her advice. During the final 5 years of her academic career, she developed and led a successful project to enhance the recruitment, professional development, and academic career advancement of women faculty and faculty of color throughout the School of Medicine. During the time that Dean Canterbury directed the offices of medical education, the student body was significantly diversified, with the percentage of women increasing from 13% to 51%. African American student population from 5% to 12%. And Latinx student population going from 17% to 31%. Dr. Canterbury is a member of many prestigious professional societies, including being elected to the National Academy of Women's Health Education. She has been repeatedly honored for her work on behalf of women. She has received the Mae Brunson Faculty Award, given to the person within the university community who most contributes to improving the status of women on campus. The Outstanding Woman Faculty Award from the University of Miami Medical Women, the Woman of the Year Award from the American Business Women's Association, the Miami Women's Committee of 100 Trailblazer Award, the American Medical Women's Association Woman of the Year Award, in the Company of Women Pioneer Award from Miami-Dade County, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the University of Miami Women's Commission. That's a lot of honors, and I am so honored to present this award to Dr. Janet Canterbury today.
Thanks, Allie. Well, thank you, Terry, for that lovely introduction. You know, it's always lawyers, epidemiology, endocrinology, they have to be the same. Okay. Well, today I'm pleased to accept the Now Women of Vision Award, and I'm honored to be in the ranks of all of those who've gone before. I'm also very honored to be on the dais with very distinguished women. I guess with Val here, it would be many who I've helped to elect to office. I want to join all of the other speakers who have thanked you for all of the hard work and sacrifices that you've made on behalf of women. Although I sometimes think it's insulting for someone standing here to thank you for what you do out of your deep commitment to a movement. Now, like some of you, I came into Now during the ERA campaign. However, 40 years ago, I don't think anyone would have described me as a feminist. I was consumed with my own career. I was worried about my academic advancement. And I had an overarching aim to become a tenured professor of medicine before I was 40. It was an unheard of goal in the day, but that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I set about doing. And I did make that goal. I did make that. I became a tenured professor of medicine and ultimately the deputy dean at the University of Miami School of Medicine. And I guess by any standard, you would have to say that I had a very fulfilling and successful professional career. My academic achievement was especially rewarding, as at the time that I was made, given my deanship, there were only 3 other women in the country who had such a position. But it is my feminist work that has offered the most satisfaction in my life. Through now, I was lucky enough to discover the great passion of my life, equality for women. I don't remember that exact moment when I experienced what Gloria Steinem has called the feminist click. I don't remember what bit of information finally rocked me and got through and opened up my mind. I only know that since that moment, my life has never been the same. I've always admired the gentle conversion to feminism expressed in Rita Mae Brown's haiku poem entitled Feminist. Having slumbered, she arose and shook Victorian shadows from her mind. However, I think my own conversion and epiphany were more in the genre of the road to Damascus with St. Paul's bolts of lightning. I can only tell you that upon awakening, I looked around, I found a world totally incompatible with my newfound feminist fervor, and I set about to change it. Now, Gloria Steinem has said of the women's movement, I have met brave women who are exploring the outer age of human possibility with no history to guide them and a courage to make themselves vulnerable that I find moving beyond word. That quote perfectly describes my own experience. I have been and I remain in awe of the many feminists that I have met along the way. In particular, I do need to say that I find the young feminist women and men of today amazing. Just, there's no other word for them. They seem to know no fear. They're imbued with a fierce spirit of determination, and I admire them greatly. And there are many feminist leaders that I admire and respect, but I have to say, there are two feminist leaders that I esteem above all others, and that is Eleanor Smeal and Patricia Ireland. These remarkable women have profoundly influenced my life. They really took me out of myself and saved me from whittling through life like a mass of protoplasm, thinking little beyond my own self-interest. Through the example of their tireless work, dedication, and sacrifice, I came to understand that doing something totally outside of oneself with no thought of personal gain is the secret to life's happiness. In working to create a more just world, I found it's really rewarding, and actually it makes you feel good, really good. So all of you should feel really good. I will forever cherish the love and friendship. Thank you, Ellie, and thank you, Patricia. Now, I am sure that all of you, as activists, have experienced some of the downsides of being a committed activist. Our families often get short shrift as we maniacally pursue our feminist work. As for myself, I've missed many a dinner, vacation, and quality family time during those intense period of all-consuming feminist work. I have to say that my family has been fairly good about it. They're pretty tolerant, except for some fairly serious teasing when I would arrive home exhausted from some phone bank, bulk mailing, or canvassing, to be greeted with choruses of Joan Baez's song, The Winds of the Old Days. You know these. Idols are best when they're made of stone. A savior's a nuisance to live with at home. Stars often fall, heroes go unsung, and martyrs certainly die too young. Nonetheless, they have never failed to support me, and I'm very proud of the feminist children that we have raised. Without the slightest doubt, I can say that my family is the most important thing in my life. And with your indulgence, I would like to introduce them to you. My partners, Marianne Fletcher and Nancy Klimas. My eldest daughter, Ellie. Where's Ellie? Oh. There she is. Her husband, Nick. And our amazing granddaughter, Callie. My daughter, Katie Klimas, in the back. And her fellow, Alex. My daughter, Patricia, better known as KC. And our adopted son, Martin Aranya. You all know that I love you more than pigs love slop. And I thank you for your unwavering support. To all my friends, associates, and extended family who are here today, I want you to know my heartfelt appreciation. Namaste. Once again, thank you now for this honor.
Thank you, Janet, for all you have done for now. We are so appreciative. And now we have another award, this year's Women of Action Impact. I'm shorter than Janet. This year's Women of Action Impact honoree is Congresswoman Lois Frankel, a true champion for women. Congresswoman Frankel is the chair of the Congressional Women's Caucus, a proud member of the Congressional Pro-Choice Caucus as well. She works tirelessly to support the Democratic women's economic agenda, which includes guaranteeing equal pay for women, raising the minimum wage, and giving families access to affordable child care and retirement security. Elected to Congress in 2012, she is the first woman to represent Florida's 22nd congressional district. And during her first term in office, Congresswoman Frankel helped to pass the Violence Against Women Act reauthorization, worked to bring justice to victims of military sexual assault, and brought community leaders together to address the serious issue of human trafficking in South Florida. For decades, Congresswoman Frankel has been a fierce and loyal supporter of NOW. She's founder of the West Palm Beach chapter. She has been a NOW member since 1974. And she's still a NOW member today. The NOW PAC was proud to endorse her numerous times throughout her political career, and NOW members have been proud to be by her side to get out and help her win elections. It is my pleasure to present NOW's Woman of Impact Award to Congresswoman Lois Frankel.
Val Deming, come on up here. Congresswoman Val Deming. All right, let's see here. Well, what a night. Here's what I'm doing, Janet. My mom is 91, so she's not here. But I'm going to tape my words, so just give me a second. Okay, Mom, this is for you. Bonnie, thank you very, very much. I'm going to comment on this award in a second, but I want to say what a great to be on this panel with Janet. You have done so much with me, for me. Thank you. Terry and Bonnie, let's give them what leadership over the Terry, I'm going to miss those emails every 5 minutes. And you're going to meet my new colleague, who is a phenomenal woman, Val Deming. She'll be up here in a few minutes. And Kim Schultz, thank you so much. The Teamsters have always been supportive of me, and I just want to say this. We got to keep those unions strong, right? And what we would do without Eleanor Smeal. We just had a great program on Afghan women, and just thank you just for being there constantly. Feminist majority. All right, so listen. First of all, this is a great crowd. I think it's actually bigger than the inaugural crowd. I'm looking around. I do. So, but let me tell you something. I have to confess, I really didn't come here to accept an award or even slip out to a Disney World. I haven't been there in a while, but my son is grown, so I don't go anymore. But first of all, I've had this unbelievable opportunity to stand up for feminist causes for so many years. And I'm here to say thank you to the National Organization for Women for being my partner, for being what I think is the cornerstone of feminism in this country, and it's felt worldwide. Yes, give yourself a hand. We're my Palm Beach County folks. I got to give a shout out. All right. Thank you all. So it was 51 years ago, I think 51 years ago yesterday, that Betty Friedan wrote 3 letters on a napkin, and the National Organization for Women was founded. That was the same month, actually, that I graduated high school, on my way to 4 years of protests at Boston University. And I protested everything. But, fast forward, I went to law school, and then I moved to West Palm Beach in 1974, and I was looking, I put on my bra for work purposes only, and I decided I had to find something you remember West Palm Beach in the 70s, it was quiet, that's the way to put it. So I started the West Palm Beach Now chapter, and it's really, I think we've merged into with Palm Beach County now. And now, as I said, now was with me my whole political career from the legislature. We marched with Childs for maternal care. We marched against Governor Martinez when he tried to turn us back on abortion rights. Boy, we had the days standing up for homophobia in that legislature, still goes on. I was mayor of my city. We raised the pride flag together. We recognized domestic partnership. That was really the old days, right? And now, of course, all you do every day on Capitol Hill, resisting the Republican efforts to turn back the clock and promoting policies that are going to advance women and girls. So I really wanted to make 3 points today. I'm going to tell you what they are, so when I leave, you don't say, well, you know, what was she trying to say to us? So here's what I'm going to say. Let's see here. First of all, what we have learned is no right that we work hard for is forever. We got to watch our backs, right? Oh, wait a minute. Wait, except I said we'll say this. There is one right that I am certain that this administration will protect, and that is the right to bear arms. All right. Everything else is up in the air. And number 2 is, and I like your slogan. I was going to say you have to resist and persist. I think that's Hillary Clinton said that, but I like your slogan, which is not back down and rise together. That's a good slogan. It's a good one. And the third point I'm going to make is basically go for it, because we're here to talk a little bit about the politics and what we have to do, and to always keep that NOW courage. So listen, I grew up in the 50s. Anybody here from the 50s? A few of you, I can tell. So back then, everything was pink or blue. I don't know where the purple, there was no purple back then. There was, but it was in the closet, I guess you would say. Everything was pink or blue. This was before Title IX. You know, those of us in the 50s, we watched our high school classmates go to college with all sorts of scholarships. When I was 15 years old, I found a friend bleeding to death from an illegal back alley abortion. Fortunately, she survived. And then, of course, the 1960s was my awakening, challenging the status quo back in college. And, you know, it was, of course, about the Vietnam War, yes, the civil rights, but also feminism. Listen, we didn't like how the so-called hippie men were treating the women, if you remember that. And so we were marching with the Gloria Steinem and Bella Abzug and Betty Friedan, and I don't know if some of you young people even know who they are. Now, here's the thing, and and this is anyone here in college, I did study, so I don't want to give you any false impressions. I was a good student, but I was also a good protester. And when I left college, I said to myself, you know, enough of this carrying the signs. One day I'm going to be in the government and someone's going to protest me. So that's how I feel. And was I right? Was I right? But you know, listen, by the time I reached West Palm Beach in 1974, I thought the world and the country was ready for women to have full lives, not just reproductive lives. We had 1964, the Equal Pay Act. In the early 70s, yes, young women, in the 1970s, contraception and abortion finally became legal, right? And we had Title IX advanced our opportunities in sports and education, and we thought we would never have to look back, right? In 1986, I followed up on my graduation pledge to myself. I decided to run for the Florida State Legislature. By that time, my son Ben was 8 years old. He was interviewed by a local reporter. He was asked, "Why should your mom be elected to the state legislature?" And I woke up the next day and I read in the Palm Beach Post, "My mom should be elected to the state legislature because she can't cook." In other words, ladies, you need no qualifications. But at least this, I raised my son to tell the truth. And he really was the driving force for my legislative career because I realized he was going to get the love and the nurturing and education that he needed, but he was going to grow up with a lot of kids who were not getting that. And so I focused a lot of that career on maternal health and early learning and child abuse and so forth, which I think sort of gives you an idea why it's so important to get some mothers, that people say, "You are a mother." I am a mother. Get some mothers in the political process. So listen, talk about telling the truth. Unfortunately, we have someone who is president who doesn't know how to do that. I call him the cyber bully in chief, and that is the most polite term I can use for him. And I know we all agree he is absolutely embarrassing. He's embarrassing our country with, I call his bloody treats. He's got women associated with blood, right? And what kind of example is he? Oh, she wants me to end. I thought I had 8 minutes. Okay, I'm going to speed it up. Listen, I'm going to keep, listen, I think this is quite entertaining myself. Okay. And after all, my mother is listening to this. Let me take, excuse me? Oh, stay closer to the mic. Here we go. How's this? Oh, much better. Sorry, I'll start over. No, I won't. Okay. So listen, we know this. It's not just his tweets. He is on a relentless mission to hire people, appoint people, and to craft policies that will fundamentally hurt women, like his appointment of Neil Gorsuch to the Supreme Court, his gag order that's interfering with health care to women all over the world, including also defunding the UN Population Fund. You know what the UN Population Fund does? It tries to prevent child marriage, female genital mutilation, and it promotes safe pregnancies, and this man's actually taking the funding away from that. Any version of Trump Care, I don't know whether you go to the House version or the Senate version, we know what that's doing, defunding Planned Parenthood, gutting Medicaid, raising costs, eroding essential benefits like maternity care and mental health, and obviously increasing the number of uninsured men and women and children in this country. He's proposed a budget that cuts funding for civil rights enforcement, including Title IX. So listen, it's quite obvious we must resist that, right? We must resist. We must not back down. But that's not enough. We have to persist, or we say we have to rise, right? Because we have to promote the policies that advance women and girls and their families, including access to health, family-friendly workplaces that include paid family leave, right? Isn't it something? I look at my colleagues. Don't they know that people have children and you have to take care of them and go to work? And why do most women go to work? Duh. Because they have to earn money. And you want to leave your children in safe, quality child care, which is becoming unaffordable in this country, almost $10,000 a year, paycheck to paycheck, more than a person's rent. And we have to prepare everybody for the new economy, right? We have to prepare and steer women to jobs that are not only STEM kind of jobs, but we have to elevate the pay of women's jobs, like the home health care workers, right? They're not going to be replaced by robots. And yes, Kimberly, we have to keep the union strong. We have to keep the union strong. And keep our, this is obviously, we have to keep our place in the world, our leadership in the world, which, I mean, we are a laughing stock right now. So I'm going to make my last point number 3. I think I made number 2. I didn't say it was number 2, but that was number 2. And now I'm on my final point number 3, which is going to make the young lady here happy. So listen to this. I wanted to, I teased Terry because of the emails, and she's there lobbying with Bonnie, and they're really giving us hell up in Congress like they should. And I see lots of you come around, and let me tell you why it's so important. I looked at the clerk's book. It's the book where the lobbyists, the paid lobbyists, register. So listen to this. There are 292 paid lobbyists that are registered on family issues, 52 on unemployment issues, 182 on welfare issues. However, there's 5,677 on energy, 3,600 on financial institutions, 30,000 on homeland security, and 2,500 on telecommunications. Well, now you understand where the focus of Congress is and why your voices are so important. And I know you're all anxious, right? Everybody in this room is anxious, especially if you keep watching all those cable shows, especially the ones with, you know, the faces are bleeding and all that kind of stuff. It promotes anxiety. So listen, you want to keep your voices loud. You want to lobby, but listen, we also need you to run. We got some people ready to run? You know, the numbers are not great. We have 20% in Congress. I don't know, we don't do much better here in Florida in the state legislature. But let me tell you this. Even though our numbers are small, our impact is great. Because if you take a look and see what the women promote and push, you will know that every time we get another sister, right, it's an advancement for women and girls in this country. But listen, not all of you are going to run. I hope a lot of you run. In fact, if you all want to run, I do the recruitment for the women DCCC in Congress. I just want to tell you this. We have dozens and dozens and dozens of women running for Congress all over this country, and they are phenomenal, phenomenal. So listen, if you're not going to run, keep your voices loud, go on your Facebook, use your social media, call your legislators, don't lose faith. You got to be brave. You got to be like Susan Ross. Did I get her name right? Yes. Rosa Parks, hey. Betty Friedan, or even Serena Williams. I like Serena Williams, yeah? So listen now, I just want to again thank you. Thank you every day for fighting for our human rights, our reproductive rights, the right to live full lives, share committed love with the person of our choice. It's 50 years, and we're getting stronger. Ladies, keep up the fight. Love you, Mom.
Did you get the photo op with the thing? You did the photo op with Bonnie? With this?
I did.
Oh, you did good. Okay.
Oh, wait, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie?
Yeah. Photo op.
This is for Mom.
Oh, there you go. No, it's good. It's the presenter, yeah. All right. Nice. Thank you so much. Thank you, Congresswoman Frankel. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for your inspiring, amazing work for women throughout your career. Really, really appreciate it. So it's my honor now to introduce U.S. Congresswoman Val Demings. Congresswoman Demings represents Florida's 10th congressional district. She is a proud member of the Congressional Caucus for Women's Issues, the Congressional Caucus on Black Women and Girls, and the Congressional Pro-Choice Caucus. Now, before she was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, Congresswoman Demings built a groundbreaking career with the Orlando Police Department, right here in Orlando. She served the public for 27 years. She joined during a time when very few women were in the ranks of law enforcement. She graduated from the police academy as class president. She was known for her tenacity and her leadership, and she worked her way up while raising a family and contributed to nearly every department in the police organization, including serving as commander of special operations. She made history in 2007 when she was appointed to serve Orlando's first female chief of police. Elected to Congress in 2016, she has continued her record of public service, supporting legislation in areas such as workplace fairness, social security, civil rights, economic issues, and women's health. Please welcome Congresswoman Val Demings.
Thank you. Are there any women in the house? Are there any fed up women in the house? Are there any women who's had enough, sick of it, tired of it, been watching the news, ready to take action now, women in the house? Are there any woke women in the house? I want to let you know how good it is to be home. I am so thankful to be here. All right, Orlando, Orange County, where are you? Wave your hands. All right, all right. Now, I want to thank you for this amazing opportunity. I don't take it for granted. When people believe that I have something to say that's worth listening to, I also know that leadership is not easy. I have been there as the Orlando Police Chief. It's not easy. But I do believe in giving honor to whom honor is due, so please join me now in recognizing our amazing President, Terry O'Neill. Yeah. I want you to know I have been in our nation's capital now for about 6 months. I could also tell you how many hours and days and minutes and seconds I have been there. Don't get me wrong, I'm glad to be there. I'm glad to be serving with another dynamic woman who you all just recognized, Lois Frankel, who is my mentor. Lois was assigned to me as a candidate as my mentor. I got to tell you, I didn't know if they really wanted me to win or not when they did that, because she doesn't play. But you all can see that I am here, and I am just so thankful to have her as my mentor. Been there for 6 months. I can tell you that in our nation's capital, the weather there is about the same as it is here. It is a beautiful, sunny day. I want you to know that the cherry blossoms blossomed on time in our nation's capital. But I also want you to know that our nation is on fire. And I don't mean the good on fire that Alicia Keys sang about. I mean that our nation is on fire. It's being consumed by hatred, division, bigotry, racism, and my Lord, they just can't get past sexism. But I did not come today now to bring you just bad news. I came today to bring you some good news too. Because I do believe that women are our nation's secret weapon. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. When I was appointed chief of police, I was appointed when crime was at an all-time high in Orlando. So I said to myself, okay, here we go. Orlando gets his first woman chief, and crime's at an all-time high. Now let's think about that thing. If I had not been successful in reducing the crime rate in Orlando, what would people have said? Oh, good gracious, what do you expect? I mean, my God, look at her. She's a woman. She can't handle that job. But instead of focusing on the crisis, I chose to focus on the opportunity. And then I just realized that God knows women are good at cleaning up messes. Yeah. And we were able to reduce violent crime by 40%. This little woman didn't do too bad now, did she? And so women, if we have any chance of our nation that we love, our nation that we know is the greatest, most powerful nation in the world, if we have any chance to clean up the mess that's been created in our country, then it's going to take a group of women to turn things around. Am I right about that? Yeah. I first ran, you all heard Terry talked about it, for Congress in 2012, and I want you to know that Now did not hesitate to support my campaign. I want to thank you for that. I ran against people who believed a woman's place is in the home. I came close, didn't quite win, but I ran again in 2016, and while some believe a woman's place is in the home, I chose to hang out with women who believe that a woman's place is in the house. The U.S. House of Representatives. And now I want to thank you for being there with me during 2016, every step of the way. On January 3rd, my mother's birthday, I took my third oath. Just as I had done in 1984 when I was sworn in as a police officer, as I did in 2007 when I was sworn in as Orlando's first woman chief of police, I swore, I raised my hand on January 3rd, my mother's birthday, and I swore that I would protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Isn't it interesting, women and the good men that are in the house? Let's give the good men in the house who've joined us a round of applause. They've always been with us, a few good men. Isn't it interesting that the forefathers of this country, all the focus on foreign enemies, foreign attacks, that they had sense enough all those years ago to say foreign and domestic. Now is the time. Congresswoman Franco talked about it a little bit, but now is the time. Women, that we need you more now than ever. Yeah, we need you to serve this present age. We need you to get involved, although I know I'm preaching to the choir, but we need to turn up the heat a little bit. We need you to get involved in your communities more now than ever, because we have a community to save, we have a nation to save, and we have a world to save, and the only chance we have are the women in this room and the women around the nation. When we look throughout history, let me remind you, if you feel a little discouraged, let's go back to history, not the kind of back they're talking about, but I want to remind you of some amazing women who did some amazing things in our history in spite of the obstacles that were presented in their way. What was it about Harriet Tubman that made her say the taste of freedom is worth risking anything that they can do to stop me? So I'm picking up my Bible and my shawl and my shotgun, and we're going to march towards freedom. That's what Harriet Tubman said, and that's what she did. I want you to know today I'm not going back. You can't make me go back. I'm not going back, but I'm going to rise up, and we're going to rise up together. What was it about Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Stanton, Alice Paul, Ida B. Wells, Mary Church Terrell, and Howard Shaw, and so many others who marched, protested at the White House, went to jail, was force-fed, and suffered for a woman's right to vote? I'm not going back. I'm not thinking about going back. I'm moving forward, and we're going to rise up together. And these women did it during a time when women had no rights, owned no property, had no voice. They were simply considered property. No, I'm not going back to those days. You can't make me go back. We're going to rise up together. These women in 1913, I did say 1913, not 2017, 1913. Think about what it was like back in 1913. But they marched on Washington the day before President Wilson's inauguration. And we know what happened the day after 45's inauguration, don't we? 500,000 people, women wearing pink hats, marched on the nation's capital and said, you don't speak for me, you don't represent me, I'm not going back, but we're going to rise up together. I wasn't able to be here yesterday. I wanted to be here. I wasn't able to be here with you, but we had a couple of spies. We sent some spies in here to see what was going on because I just couldn't stand not being here, but I heard the day was a good day. I heard the panel discussion was good. I often ask in absolute amazement, why are women still being paid less money for the same work? Why is it that women are still fighting to have complete control over our bodies? Why are women still discriminated against? Now I'm talking about 1917 as it pertains to housing and credit. Well, perhaps yesterday's panel answered this question when they acknowledged that there is no mention of women in the great equalizer, which is the Constitution of the United States of America. All men, all men, all men, all men are created equal. Yeah, I heard yesterday was real good when the discussion turned to how we raise our sons. See, I have 3 sons. I prayed for girls. Just letting y'all know, I prayed for girls. I prayed. God sent me 3 sons. God sent me 3 sons, but I raised them, my husband and I raised them to respect and to honor the girls in the room. But let me tell you this. God did, he never forgets. He did send me 4 granddaughters, praise the Lord. And I will never stand back and allow somebody to make them think that they are inferior, that they are not worthy, that they do not matter, that their faces aren't pretty enough, their bodies aren't shapely enough. We are never going back. I'm not going back, and we're going to rise up together. Then I heard yesterday about the testimony of a 12-year-old who, because of her grandmother's influence, started educating her friends on the playground. See, that's what we need, more of that. We need more of that. Started educating her friends on the playground about equality. And a 12-year-old came to tell us that we are all, men and women, created equal. I'm not going back. I'm not going to go back. I'm going to resist, and I'm rising up together. Now, let me just say this. Give me just a moment before I get the time clock on me. But y'all know I was the police chief. I'm going to do like Noah's. I'm not going to sit down, and I'm going to just stand here. But anyway, I'm just teasing. Let me just say this. Hillary Clinton lost the presidential race. It was a painful loss. There were people who I called the next day who couldn't get out of the bed. The only reason I got out of the bed is because I had some interviews the next day. There were some people I could not find for 3 days. There were some people, I'm one of them, who turned the television off for 5 days. I just couldn't take it. I kept believing that I was having a nightmare, and sooner or later, somebody was going to wake me up. And now we can speculate all day long. It was painful. We can speculate all year long, all day long about why Hillary lost. But what I believe, it's about moving. We're not going back. It's about moving forward. I believe with all of my heart that those women who marched in Washington, D.C. over 100 years ago would have been so proud of Hillary picking up the mantle and carrying all of the struggles, the suffering, the pain of the women's movement to a place closer than we have ever been before, to the White House. I'm not going back. I'm not going. We owe her a debt of gratitude. She got us closer than we have ever been before. And for the woman who will one day carry the torch across the finish line, she will do so because of Susan, and because of Ida, and because of Alice, and because of Mary, and because of Shirley Chisholm, and because of Hillary. I'm not going back, but we're rising up together. Women, we have much work to do. If we are ever going to realize the kind of America that we dream of. You see, I dream of an America where every person, regardless of the color of their skin, will be able to get a decent job with a decent wage and decent benefits. I dream of an America where every person will be able to receive a quality education regardless of their gender, their race, where they live, or how much money their parents have in the bank. I'm not going back. We're going to rise up together. I dream of an America where every person, regardless of their sexual orientation, will be able to live where they want to live, love who they want to live, and be free of those who are obsessed with being obsessed. I'm not going back. I am not going back. I dream of an America where every person has quality health care. My goodness, would you leave my health care alone? I'm not going back. That's the kind of America that we deserve, and that's the kind of America we will not stop. We will not quit. We will not back down. We are going to rise up together until we realize that kind of America. So, National Organization of Women, thank you. Thank you for paving the way for all of us. Thank you for laying the foundation for all of us. Thank you for blazing the trail for all of us. We would not be here without you being there for us. We're not going back. We're going to rise up together. So let's rise up now. Let's rise up and not stop until we hold America to its promise. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was completely amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Congresswoman Demings. Actually, I'm about speechless here. Good thing they wrote some words in this notebook. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Next, because I know the timekeeper, it is now my honor to introduce our next speaker, Kim Schultz. Kim was elected president of Teamsters Local 2011 in 2016. This year, she was sworn in as vice president of the Southern Region for the Teamsters, and she is the only woman serving on the International Executive Board. She intends to spend her term advocating for women and improving wages and recognition for all. Schultz has worked as the probation officer with the Florida State Department of Corrections since 1996. A proven organizer, she helped 15,000 members of the FDC join the Teamsters in 2011. She serves on the Contract Negotiating Committee, which works to improve members' work conditions and job security. Among her extraordinary accomplishments, she testified at the state capitol on the issue of pay parity in 2015. Kim completed her law degree in Nova Southeastern University while working full-time and currently practices law. Please welcome Kim Schultz.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I should have gone before Val Demings, huh? This is just not fair. I just want to say that. But I'm happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. This is, first of all, I think the theme is just phenomenal. Not backing down, rise up together. This is the time, and this is what we need to be doing. Could not be more appropriate. My whole life turned around 2 years ago. I mean, it just got shaken up on its head. So I'm a probation officer with the state of Florida. I love my job. My parents are here. My parents always taught me, you can do whatever you want. Don't back down. You can achieve all your goals. And I guess I've stuck with that because I've never let somebody say to me, you can't do it. I've just kept going. I failed, I've done well, I've failed, I've gotten back up again. And I'll tell you, becoming a Teamster, I'm proud to be a Teamster because we're 1.4 million strong. And we have the power. We have the power as union people to make such a difference. And women make up almost half of the organization, but we are not in those positions of power yet. And that's one of the things that I intend to do. I mean, there's 27 people on the executive board, and I'm the only woman. Actually, I was the only woman who ran. And I have to tell you, I'm reminded every day of that. because okay, so let me go back. I work in one of the toughest neighborhoods as a probation officer. I carry a gun. I go out there by myself. There's gunfights. I mean, it's tough. But nothing compares to the 27 men that I have to sit with on the board. And I'll give you a perfect example. So we meet quarterly. And actually, we had a unity conference. We had a unity conference in May. And the unity conference was, let's put all the election behind us and move forward. Because what happened was, only 6 of the reformists, myself included, won the slate. So the others are up in arms because for 20 years they've had power. For 20 years they've been able to tell everybody what to do. And nobody thought that they could win, that anybody could take them out and that we could win. And yet 6 of us did. So while the whole slate didn't win, because we ran as a reformist group, and that's something I wanted to talk about, grassroots organizing, 6 of us did win. And you know what they did when we showed up for our orientation? They said, we have a new security system. The IBT has never had a security system until we 6 got elected. So we must be doing something right, huh? And all we heard about at our orientation was, this card gets you have to use it for everything. To get on the elevator, to access a room, to get here. Never existed till we got elected. That's all right. So we go to the Unity Conference, and they talk about unity, and we all have to work together, and we put the election behind us. And after I got elected and after the Unity Conference, they held a vote to revoke my charter. So unity's out the door. But it's okay, because they can't take my international VP position away from me. And it's my intention to do whatever I can to make our union stronger, to help people every day who are working for bad and under poor labor conditions, and to help women especially. One of the things that I'm here to talk about is really to start out with our grassroots movement and how we did it as 6 people, how we actually got elected. Because remember, this is a national election. Well, it's actually an international election because of Canada. But it's a big election, and we fought really hard, and we did it one step at a time. We got on the phone, and it actually started out with 2 people, Fred and Tim, who decided they wanted to change the corruption and the culture in the union. And they did that by starting together. Instead of working against each other, they worked with each other. And what they did was they organized at the grassroots. So they started finding people all over the United States who supported their ideals in their locals. And they got those people to make phone calls and hold meetings. And what did we do? We flew out. When I was asked to run, I said, okay. Didn't know what I was doing at the moment, but I said, okay. I thought it would help my local, so I said, okay. So we got out, and what did we do? We went around, and we went to gates, and we stood out at 4 a.m. because Teamster UPS drivers start very early, and we were out there getting signatures and talking to people and showing them that, yes, there is an alternative to things that you don't like and things that you can change. And so even though only 6 of us got on the board, we've accomplished a lot. There's transparency. Nobody will operate in the dark anymore. We're going to know. The members now know what goes on. We get to tell them what goes on at these meetings, what money is being spent, how people are voting. What we also did was we showed people in their local unions that they can run for election and that they have the ability to control what goes on at the local level, not just the international level, but at the local level as well. And that's a really big achievement for us. Oh my goodness, sorry, I lost my train of thought. 1 second, I'm coming right back. It is. And you know what? That is what we've done. We've given them hell. At least I have. I have to say, they must really think I'm a threat because I'll give you a little bit of the history. So I'm promised, because there was a raid on my local, another local was coming in, even though the Teamsters by far did the best. And they said, Kim, if you just put one of our people on your slate, we'll help you. We'll stop the raid. I said, no, I can't do that. It goes against everything I'm running for. And I didn't. And I won for president, but I ultimately lost the raid because I had 3 weeks when I got elected. There was only 3 weeks to try to defeat the PBA. That was it. So we lost, but we still remained a local because in Florida you can do those things. Police Benevolent Association. It's a raid, it's just another local coming in. So, but I thought, that's okay, we'll still remain a local, we'll build it back up, and we'll come back in a year or two. I wasn't giving up. We did a lot of really good things, and actually I was the first woman to combine probation and corrections together. So it was really exciting. And then after the Unity Conference, they revoked it. But that's all right, because eventually I'll come back. I'm not giving up. So then, the minute I won the election, they filed protests against me. They made all sorts of allegations, but it's okay. I just remained calm, and we defeated them. Then, after they revoked my charter, I had to be transferred. The bylaws say I have to transfer. So I thought, all right, let me go to Miami. I live in Miami. That's the best local. 9,000 people. I get to start talking, right? I get to do what I've been doing, which is organizing a whole new local. So I apply, I give my money, I do my membership. They send me a letter and they said, sorry, you don't qualify for our local. I filed another protest. I won. I'm in the local. And that's what I wanted to talk about. It is rising up. And you know what? I am the only woman, but one of the things I'm going to push for is term limits in unions. And I think it needs to be done. That'll stop the corruption. That'll allow more women to run. That'll allow change to happen. When you're in a position for 15 years and 20 years, because the person whose position I took was in power for 19 years. So you can tell he wasn't happy that I was running. So those are the things that I believe can make a difference. It's term limits, and I'm going to push for it because I believe that when you take out people who've been there for 15 and 20 years, and now does it, right? You get 2 terms. And you know what? I'm for it. You bring in fresh blood. I'll do my 2 terms if you elect me again, and then bring someone else in. Let them come up with new ideas. But I'm here to open the way and start that transition. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Kim, for your courage to change your organization and for your courage to speak after Val Demings. I know that was, not easy. So if there is anyone who needs no introduction at a NOW conference, it's Ellie As one of the co-founders of the Feminist Majority Foundation, a former president of the National Organization for Women, and publisher of Ms. Magazine, Eleanor Smeal's life and work has been dedicated to the achievement of women's equality and human rights. She is well known as a political analyst, a strategist, a grassroots organizer. She has played a pivotal role in defining the debate, developing the strategies, and charting the direction of the modern-day women's movement. In her more than 40 years as a leader in the United States women's movement, she has changed the landscape of women's involvement in our national life and in our culture. During her 3 terms as president of NOW, she led the drive to ratify the ERA. Yes, that's an applause line. This was the largest nationwide grassroots and lobbying campaign in the history of the modern women's movement. After hearing a novel theory that the ratification deadline of 1982 for the ERA could be extended, Ellie convinced Representative Elizabeth Holtzman to bring that proposal to Congress. She was a key organizer of the 1978 March for the ERA, which brought over 100,000 marchers, and Congress soon voted to extend the deadline from 1978 to 1982. Her leading role in state and national campaigns for women's rights legislation helped reshape the contours of U.S. politics, as politicians could no longer ignore the voices of women, forcing their inclusion as part of the national political discourse. Her efforts led to women's organizations shifting our strategy from targeting only a few select races for women candidates to a philosophy of recruiting women to run for as many elected offices as possible. Recognizing the power of the internet, Ellie pioneered its use as an organizing and research tool by launching the Feminist Majority online in 1995. At the forefront of nearly every significant women's rights victory, her participation was pivotal in the passage of the landmark legislation, including the Equal Credit Act, the Pregnancy Discrimination Act, and stronger enforcement of Title IX for educational equity for every girl and woman in this country. Ellie continues to work toward making Social Security and pensions more equitable for women, closing the gender and gender-race wage gaps, and the achievement of pay equity for women who are segregated into low-paying jobs. She has been a driving force behind decades of feminist progress. I am honored to count her as a colleague and as a mentor and as a friend. Please welcome Ellie Smeal.
Thank you. Wow, what a morning. It's Sunday. No, it's only Saturday. And what a wonderful panel. I started off with Janet. I have to tell you, Janet, I did everything I could to hold back tears. You've been just so great, day in, day out, working for us in every way you can think of. And strategically, you've been invaluable. And your friendship and your determination, you've changed our lives too. And all the bonuses, and Lois, my God, you know, when you're complaining about emails, you got a lot of nerve. If you haven't gotten Lois's emails asking for money for the Democratic Party, she'll sign you up right now. And she's one of the greatest fundraisers we have, and is also the leader of the Democratic Women's Working Group, and is really the right hand of Congresswoman Pelosi, and who will be Speaker, because we're going to change that Congress. So I could go down to everybody, and I'm going to do that, but I think we got to get what I was supposed to do. This is a political lunch, and we've had the best of politics here. But we now have to get down to what we're going to do to win in 2017 and 18. And who can predict? You know, the crazy thing, you can work and you can study and you think you know what's going on. We have that terrible defeat in 2016, and it was deeper than just the presidential. We lost in many ways. But it became the galvanizer. A galvanizer and an avalanche of women running for office. Now, who would predict that? The most popular woman in the world, let's not forget that. Hillary Clinton was just the most popular woman in the world, in the top polls of the world. She loses. Hey, did that discourage us? Did that discourage women? No, damn it, they decided now we're going to go. I think if she had won, not as many people would be running now. It's all counterintuitive, but I'll never, ever forget January 21st when all that wave of pink, just think of us rising up. 991 simultaneous marches on all 7 continents of the world. 661 in the United States alone. If you don't have the issue of Ms. that lists every march, we'll send it to you, complimentary. Because we can never forget how mad we were, but we didn't just sit there, we organized. 1 million in New York City, over 1 million in Washington, D.C. And by the way, a lot of you know Kathy Spiller, our executive director. She was in the organizing thing in Los Angeles. We thought 75,000 were coming to Los Angeles. 750,000 came to Los Angeles. 500,000 in San Francisco, and then little cities. I mean, they're not that little, but Knoxville, I know a lot of you know Wanda Sobieski, who has been a long-time Tennessee organizer. She said to me, I couldn't get out of bed for a month, not a day. She was so depressed, she thought she was clinically depressed. If you know her, she's an attorney. She's hard-nosed organizer, fights all the time. But anyway, she said she'd go because they wanted her to speak. It was raining and pouring. And she said, I don't know, John, I've got to go, but it's crazy. There'll be probably 50 people there. You know, Knoxville isn't that big. She should have gone to Washington, but, you know, blah, blah, blah. She goes in a pouring rain, 5,000 people, the most Knoxville ever had. So anytime we get discouraged, we know that we are screwed, we multiply. And we know that we don't really believe that we lost this race fair and square for president either. We know that she got not only the popular vote, but who knows what they did with that hacking. And I don't care what anybody says. If you didn't hear it, the Intelligence Committee of the Senate had people reporting, the highest ranking person during Obama, and I don't know the person's name, who is the highest ranking now. They both testified to the fact that the hackers from Russia got into 31 state voter rolls. And they're telling us they didn't do anything, they just looked. I don't believe that, and I think that this investigation, you know, I don't know about you, it's hurting my health. Watching these, I got to keep knowing what the heck happened the day before, or that hour, right? And now they have maybe the first signs of collusion. I don't know, but I know one thing. I lived through Nixon, and we hung in there, and we got to hung in this one, I tell you. But as we watch some of this, we know we're organizing. And now let me go to what's happening in Virginia. Unbelievable. Hala is here. You all know that she's running for representative. And the reason I'm pointing to her is something big is happening in Virginia. The House of Representatives is up, and they have recruited over 50, there's 100 seats up, and they recruited over 50-some women to run. 31 have not only survived the primary, they're challenging Republican incumbents all over the state. The head of this organizing effort is Charnel Herring. Many of you have heard her speak. She, I believe, can be the first African-American woman Speaker of the House in a southern state. And she's doing it the hard way by recruiting. She said, Ellie, we're going to live to see the day when we are 50% of the Virginia House. Right now, we have a chance to gain some significant seats, and we're going to be organizing. And if you folks don't have anything to do the last 3 weeks right before November 7th, come to Virginia. We're going to go door to door if we have to, and we're going to elect a lot of folks. Only the representative seats are up, just the House, but also the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the attorney general, and the now endorsed candidates, as well as Feminist Majority, as well as NARAL. We hung in there, and they told us, the outsiders told us, that our governor candidate was not as progressive. Baloney. He was for women's rights. He had led the fight against for abortion rights in the House. He had led gun control. Anyway, he won. And so we have to win. We have to sweep Virginia, because it is imperative to send a signal to the nation that we're not staying still. We're going to stop the right-wing Republicans in the South. Now, we can't forget New Jersey's up. We have the House of New Jersey and the Senate in New Jersey, and the numbers of women running in New Jersey are also extremely impressive. In the Senate, there are 16 women running. There's only 40 seats, 16 new women running that are Democrats, 8 Republicans. But the odd thing is a couple of those Republicans are now running on pro-choice tickets. In fact, their governor candidate is saying she's pro-choice. Who knows? That means that maybe in the North it's not going to be possible. And Chris Christie has so poisoned the water, let's face it. They got to run against him. But there's many women running in the House and the Senate, and I know that New Jersey now is very active there. Now, right after that, we got to pivot into the congressional races, and I don't think we can wait until these elections are over. We have got to be active in the congressional races, because in both the House and the Senate, we have a terrific battle. In the Senate, 25 Democrats are up, 10 women are up. We have got to beat there for them. We have got to raise money. Some of our heroines are up. Tammy Baldwin is up. She only had won by 51%. We got to make sure she wins again. And I can go through all the names. They're already giving me the wrap-up. So there is this. We have to maybe take the Senate, but it's really going to be hard. 25 Dems are up. Only 8 Republicans. 2, though, are very weak. And if we hold the line, grab the 2, maybe find a third, who knows? But I know one thing. They need feminists to be there and strong. We cannot lose seats. Same thing in the House. We got to chip away, and I think we can. In fact, what I dream of is a wave election. Think of all that pink. If this president hasn't scared us enough to have a wave election, what else do you need? And if you didn't catch it last night, I mean, you cannot miss anything because of his stupid Twitter, right? Do you know what this man twittered in addition to the blood flowing from Mika's face, which of course it never flowed? I mean, if he says it, it probably isn't true, as you well know. He twittered, just, he was just thinking to himself, twittering away. What does he say this morning? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I turn on the set and I say, what happened, right? Oh, now they're saying 32 million people might be driven off of the rolls. Why is that? What happened? How did we go from 22 million to 32 million? I mean, we've just been at a conference. What happened? His Twitter. He said that in the Twitter, well, we're just going to maybe have to repeal and not replace. He gets this idea. We're just going to repeal and not replace. And if you just repeal and don't replace, 32 million people will be denied health care. Well, we're going to stop the drive to take away Medicaid and health care. I don't care how many Republicans are in that house. We've stopped them this far. By the way, we've had one demonstration after another, and when you go back, just think of some congressional office. I don't think, by the way, you have to look at targets. Make either the Democrat or the Republican sitting there so worried that they don't move that bill, because people will die. And as Terry has said repeatedly, these are women-killing policies. If they stop Medicaid, 70% of the recipients of Medicaid are women. No wonder. It means something that we get paid so little. I could go on and on. They're going to throw what? Grandmothers out of nursing homes? You know that 2/3 of all nursing homes are paid by Medicaid, and nearly 70% of the nursing home patients are women. I could go on. I mean, we're all fired up. This is going to be very hard, but I really believe we can stop it. So, how are we going to do it? Now this goes the pitch. I'm told by Linda, please pitch hard. We've got to have more money in the Now PAC. We have to. And if you can't do very much, write down how much you can do a month. You can do something every month, every week. If you can't give money, give jewelry. You know. I was thinking of Molly Yard. I am not kidding. She was so mad at me once. I was doing a pitch. She thought I was terrible. And she comes. I see somebody running at me from the corner of my eye. Molly Yard ran across the whole stage, grabbed the damn mic out of my hand, said, she's hopeless. She says she's hopeless. I need you to give everything you got. Give jewelry, help your firstborn, whatever. And anyway, you can pledge time. You know, one of the things is we will never out-fundraise these billionaires, but we have the marching millions. Now we know for sure. We can visualize January 21st. So put down a pledge of time that you'll go someplace. We need your time and we need your money. I really think we have to turn this country around. You know, we not only need to win equality now, we have to save our democracy. And so, are you doing this, Beth? You're supposed to do something. Okay. Well, we need more collectors than just 2. Oh, we need more than 3. Hey, we need more volunteers to come up. We want everybody to come through the alleys. Yeah. Here. Yeah, give us these shopping bags. Go through the room, and because I don't want to hear that now doesn't have enough money to endorse something. By the way, every chapter can endorse. You don't have to wait. You do know that. A C4 can endorse, and our endorsement means a lot, but we also want to put some money in it too. So, if I was Molly, she would say that this isn't good enough. Come on, get more people out there. Let's make sure that this is a record-giving amount. It's now PAC, and if you think how many of you think that now should also have state PACs? And I think we have state PACs, right? And how many want to have local PACs? Okay, Maryland now, Illinois now, California now, we all have PACs, but you have a little more change for the federal PAC. New York State. But we are determined that these women who are coming forth will have our support and as much as we can give them. Thanks a lot. Don't forget these rousing words of this conference, and we shall overcome and rise up. And one other thing, if you don't have change, just take out your cell phones, go to Now PAC and give us money online. I mean, we're not particular how it comes in, right?